Oh, nice.
Вначале Вадим.
Слушайте, там далеко.
Блин, на LinkedIn. Hi guys, welcome to the remote stream from that is in real life in-person event from Tanana DeFi Hub that is related to the first global hackathon for Ton community and today I want to introduce you our friends Vadim and Timur from T70 Lab and Nubi investment platform that will talk about Web3 product development, and after that you will be able to participate in Q&A session with guys.
Hi guys, my name is Vadim, and we are friends with Tanana guys and BlockTalk. When they started organizing this hackathon, we really wanted to prepare some content that is going to be useful for you. So we know that most of you are either Web2 or Web3 developers, and so we thought that the content about how you create Web3 product is going to be of interest. The whole presentation is going to be about 15 minutes, and then we'll ask, Rasim and I will do this, and then we'll leave space for questions. Please jump in if you have any questions in between this call. Just by way of introduction, so both Rasim and I working on the same project, and we are both technical. Rasim has a PhD in business analytics. He's been working with technical teams for the last 5 years. He works with Audi in Accenture. And so he's really good in understanding how do you actually manage the daily process of a product. My background is computer science and finance. I've spent about more than 10 years actually of investing, buying, and selling companies. Who looked at hundreds of different projects and teams. And so my expertise is really more about product and business side of the product, and then how do you apply technology in the product. I really want to start from this very important thing that is about how does innovation happen. We always have this thing about research in science. We put this aside. But if we put this aside, the other two main parts how we can create innovation is through either cutting cost or improving customer experience. We are giving two examples. For example, here you can see this because what Ford was able to do, he was able to create a technology and assembly that assembly was producing cars cheaper than what it was possible at that time. Because the car became cheaper, people started buying it. And so the car got mainstream adoption in the United States. And it was only $250 at that time. So he cut cost through the technology and people started buying it. An analogy can be built to blockchain because blockchain will do something more efficiently than what we use today. If we are able to cut costs using blockchain, people start buying because we're going to get them better price. Another example is an electric car. An electric car was much more expensive. It was $1,400 at that time. Significantly, this was 3-4 times more expensive than the other car. But it was not noisy, it did not smell. So it was a better experience for user. And so the electric car, what at that point of time was a better experience product, it was a premium product. When you start looking in terms of how you create your product, very often, and we travel around hackathons with the team, and we see a lot of teams, a lot of products, and very often we see that people are starting with an idea. They would say, "Hey, I have something that I think will work very well," and then people start coding. Most teams are engineering teams, and so people jump in and start coding a product. Once they have the product, they start going around with the product, and they're like, "Oh, look, we've built something really beautiful. Do you want to use it?" And they start pushing it forward onto the consumer. One better way to do this is then when you start from domain expertise. This is when you work somewhere where you face a problem, an issue, and then you realize that probably you can solve this better with blockchain. Then you start, before you even start building, you start experimenting, asking your customers questions, building their needs, identifying their problems. And then you start preparing a small MVP, really tiny, without you coding too much, and testing and seeing whether it needs your consumer need it. If you go this approach of really asking your customer, really nailing down and really figuring out what are their pain points, what do they want, you're starting figuring out the business model for your product. And in the crypto winter times, business model becomes more and more important. We are going through fundraising right now, and we are getting feedback from investors as well. And very often you can see that in the past, if you had a Web3 idea, you were thrown money at. In winter times, people are more cautious. They really try to figure out what is your business model value. Can you get to revenue? So when you build, look for real pain, test willingness to pay early on, not by words, by some form of commitment, even $1 spent on your product, willingness to pay, and don't build for the sake of building. We've just pulled some data from Token Terminal to show you where is money generated today in DeFi. If you look at those projects, Pancake Swap, Sushi Swap, Convex Finance are the leaders in this. What are those business models? Those business models are trading, lending, a commission on the basis of some tokens. It's an intermediary commission. The most money in DeFi right now is generated from those 2 or 3 applications. At T7T, we believe that as blockchain gets more advanced, more and more money generation is going to be, value creation is going to be done. But that's where we are right now. This is an interesting chart. Andres Horowitz prepared it in their State of Crypto 2022 report. Really interesting report. Basically, what it says, look, innovation has its cycles. Where we are right now, it's normal. It's a cycle. It starts from price going up, people getting excited, people jumping into the area of interest, and then you start a geo generation, and then you start startups and projects come up. So in terms of the cycle of the blockchain industry, we've seen that we had some prices going up, people got excited about quick money opportunities, more and more people joined in, then people started actually now building products. You can see more and more, if you look around, you'll see that more and more professional teams are being built. You see that people from the industry jump into DeFi, for example, or NFTs and stuff like this. And so we're gonna get more and more real companies and products. So keep working, build. So we pulled, you probably know this, I don't know how much you know this, but we just gave you rough indications from the latest data from DeFi Llama about where is the economic activity. You see Ethereum is still leading, blockchains are cutting pieces. We're going to see more and more competition from other blockchains going into Ethereum. You can go next one. In terms of Ton, it's interesting the position of Ton in this ecosystem, because Ton is actually, what Ton is doing is building this one ecosystem that is aimed to combine different blockchains. So it will be very interesting to see in this fight of blockchains how Ton is going to be able to prevail with their idea of being one concept where Web 2 and blockchains are united in a seamless way. We'll pull some trends in terms of where DeFi is coming. I'm not sure how much you know about this, but clearly tokens, and by NFTs we mean anything that gets tokenized as well, not only pictures. Exciting area, really a lot of happening. We're getting a lot of feedback from people that are interested in this. Clearly metaverses and home spaces are our friends here in Prague. Interesting application of how VR is going with metaverses and how we are going to be able to deliver experiences in metaverse that are better than Zoom or physical meeting. Still some time to experiment, but interesting, really interesting area. Obviously DeFi and DAOs, we build in DAOs, we love DAOs, we can talk for hours about DAOs. And that's, I think, pretty much it. We can flip to the next slide. Very interesting, again, Andreas Horowitz, same report. You can have a look at it. Really interesting slide about comparison of Web 2 and Web 3 in terms of number of users by wallets. And good analogy, and we believe in blockchain, so we think it's going to go up, and we're going to see the usage, the number of people increasing. Very interesting chart for you to analyze and look at. That's it from my side. Rasim.
Yeah, thanks again.
Cool, thanks. Yeah. Hi everyone, online, offline. Yeah. I'm taking part about products, so I was thinking what I can tell you today, actually, in this 7 to 10 minutes, which I'll speak about. Probably not about development, right? Because you guys, believe as a developers, know more than me, maybe. Now I'm more into like product management, product ownership, so that's what I wanted to give you some insights. Really love that picture. I think most of you saw that already. Yeah, really like. We really need to think what we are building, actually, like what are the product features again, what are the user needs, and that's what will be. I will have like 2 main messages from me today for you, but yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah. The next one, if you see, I also really like that one, because usually how the projects work are like completely messed, right? What users need, what we actually build as developers, what the business consultants sell it. Okay, yes, thanks. And yeah, how it's documented, what does support. Yeah, also it's a mess. So to avoid that mess, right, what we need to do, let's check out the number. So most of you pretty much know, I guess, that today's session about. Okay, is it better now? Just mic check, 1 2 1 2. Okay, cool, thanks. So yeah, most of you probably know this iterative method, right? Waterfall to the iterative method, like going through cycles, delivering product increments, and then really like checking out, verifying if the product is valid on the market, if it's needed for the user, and then pivot rather sooner than later. Yeah, the next one. Yeah, and what we're talking about here is more like end-to-end development process, really like from ideation, innovation, going through the design, discovery, design, like development, and launching the thing,
deploying and maintaining even. What I want to emphasize here, and for you as developing teams, and mostly like you are guys building some cool products probably like in this weekend, right? Think about it, and next slide is like the design phase and the user research phase, right? And user UX. Think about exactly what we are doing with Nubi now, and this is the project we are working with Vadim. It's called user research. It contains of user, you build a product, try to pitch it to your potential users, get the feedback really if they need it or not, because it consists like user research. Do some interviews, do some polls, whatever, really like get the feedback from the user. And yeah, UX pyramid, you probably know it as well. If later it will be available also on presentation, check it out. Think about it, just really actually coding.
If I mean, just wanted to show, actually statistically, this is just from startup experiences of other people. If you do 6 interviews, that's already little minimum that is enough to see for you the first trend.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, now I'm also like product owner in my Audi, right? So what we are doing, concept, we do a rough concept, we check it out, we do the fine concept, we again check it out, and then we only build, right? And then you always this cross-functional thingy, designers, developers, QA, all boiling together. This is very important because then you can really get at the early stage what are the probabilities, difficulties of the product you are building. So this is very classical Kanban, which you probably know, right? This is very like backlog, then you have to do in progress, code review, whatsoever. By the way, I hope you do code reviews, right? Actually, because I'm usually talking with the bigger organizations that there's like established processes there, code review is mandatory. In the hackathons, actually, I think I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's a good point of discussion, like what is about code reviews and hackathon, right? Yeah. Anyway, then it goes to done, but I strongly believe one extra step is missing. And do you know which one? Any guesses? After you deploy the code. Okay, Vadim was already built. It's verified. So you're building some DeFi, let's say, right? You're behind your feature you're building, you have a business hypothesis that people will come and actually invest into this product. So you code reviewed, employed it, boom, you forgot about it. No, the one step is missing, that you need to validate this actual business hypothesis. And this is crucial. So you need to understand like if the product is working or not. The next one, yep. Sorry, yeah, probably online. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this is my main message. They really focus on what your code, what value it delivers. This is really important. And always think about it. In my teams, I'm always challenging developers which are coding what they're coding, because product owners, management might not know actually what you're coding, or might have like different. So we are as a team, we're collective intelligence. So put your brains there into code, and you as developers always challenge your product and your code. Another thing, yeah, high-performing teams. I was like agile coach, and I'm still doing that. The Bible for today for building a high-performing team. It's a book called "To You." Just quite recaps from that. This is mostly about DevOps. It's, by the way, it's like scientifically based research based from California, adopted by Google. And if you want, you can actually Google DevOps estimation, some assessment, and then you can estimate actually your team. Are you high performing, medium performing, against those 4 key metrics? It's about deployment frequency. How often do you deploy? Lead time. Lead time for changes. For changes, lead time, it means like from the very beginning until the very end. Then we have time to restore services. Pretty much, if you have a bug, crucial bug, change failure rate. Again, number of stories, tickets closed against bugs created, right? So you always also track that. And as you see, actually 44 is only medium. If you want to become an elite performer, what it takes, right? This book also has even answers for that. If you go to the next slide. They came up with 24 capabilities. For sure, you cannot implement them all at the same time, and you don't need this. Just you need to identify what is the one, maybe the next one, the bottleneck in your team, and you can go like from version control. This is what we use, like GitHub versions and so on. But trunk-based development, for example, are you using this? This is another like opportunity, or like enable learning and stuff. So you can also check it out. sit down with your team, like ask if we are high, maybe do the assessment, like what are the next bottleneck, how we can improve actually our delivery. And that's my second message here. If you go, you cannot build faster than your like the tightest bottleneck. You as a team to identify what is your tightest bottleneck. So, and then the answer is also in that book. You can check it out and also check out our links actually. So yeah, feel free to subscribe. Yeah, if any questions.
If you have any questions, this was supposed to be kind of a discussion as well.
Yep.
Because you are building your products right now, so you are probably going through those experiences of identifying the problem, talking to potential customers, identifying the customer, and things like that. So,
yeah, exactly. With what we did, we build an assumption, we're building the bridge if we need element. And I think this is crucial as well. Just think about it. Take even like, if you're now in the hackathon, I think you can ask maybe some other couple guys, developers, try to kind of identify the client and just really do some research.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
How do you, I can maybe
That's to Vadim or to me?
to both of us. So how do you build like blockchain development team? I mean, it's kind of hard to, first of all, from my side to build it,
Yeah.
and then to manage like the process itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, how it developed, we said like, okay, we need this approximately. This is our assumption, right? We need these skills. So we need these roles. Did them maybe like role description and say, okay, we need these guys. We started, first of all, what you're doing, we are leveraging our network. If we know people from the network, we started approaching them saying, okay, and again, you need to, it should be like win-win-win strategy, right? We should win, they should win. You need always to think what motivates those people. This is how we came up. We are now 9 people.
You also have to have some form of idea, right? And it should be clearly formulated so that people can identify for themselves whether they are interested in this idea, how much excitement this brings to them, how much value they find in this for themselves as well.
Yeah. So we are 9 people, and now we are having like people who want to join us, but we say like we cannot pay for you now, but there's like, okay, we want to actually join you. We want to work with you, right?
Yeah.
And this is, you need to find what are the actual interesting motivation of the person, what you can give them, like network or whatsoever. And then learning, and then another thing is like team itself, environment, how you build it, right? You cannot take anyone like you want in the team. You need to find like if it's fit and what kind of environment you build in the team. So
when we build the team, we're also really try hard, and there's a lot of time and really making sure that people have this productivity going on, so that everybody is allocated to a task of their capability, and also there's room for them to grow, so that people are challenged in a way by each other, so that they can push each other. And in this push, it's interesting for them because they know that they have to learn a bit more. They look at him on the other teammate and they're like, oh, he or she is trying really hard. I'm gonna try really hard as well. Really identifying those skills and putting people together. It's quite a lot of work.
Usually in my like Audi teams, right, I call it like triangle, right? One is like technical expert, another one is product expert, third one is a process expert. So this is like, if you have someone who is like really expert in this, and this triangle will pull all your team in front. The other thing is that you need to have nice like senior, intermediate, junior level, right? So there's a develop and space for the seniors to coach actually people. So you should think about all those distributions as well. So, and then it naturally comes down, and then put some time, put some effort, because storming, norming, performing, and if you know that curve like of the teams, give it some time, right? And then your team will like flourish. Up to the team, but usually I would say depends. One senior for sure in the team, depends on the size of the team, right? There is a rule of 2 pizzas, if you know that. One, like it's a Scrum, let's say, rule. That's you need, the team should be that size that you can mainly 5 to 6 people. So in that terms, like I would say 1 strong senior, maybe second one, and then 2 intermediate, 2 juniors, or whatever. If you count also maybe QA designers. Think about it, but it's really up to the dynamics of the team itself, I would say. No strict rules.
should be like really huge gap between those guys that are kind of on the junior level because they might find some information, but how do you find this senior blockchain developer? For me, it's like something maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe.
Yeah, I think blockchain is currently, I would say, not many seniors, right? But a lot of people want to learn, and this is you need to decide yourself how you want to compromise that, like knowledge, seniority against the willing to learn, right? And this is willing. If you want to coach and grow your talent inside, why not? It's up to you. But you hire someone senior, you're able to pay him. Maybe he can pull all your team like up. Why not?
Over.
For her, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Another thing, like we leverage network first. We use LinkedIn. We go into like hackathon marathons, like hacker houses, like this, and it works. So leverage your network. I think there are a lot of interest in the blockchain. A lot of developers who want to learn that, and yeah, we all in the same, let's say, flow here. I would say just learn from your peers. And, yeah.
What are you guys actually building? I would be really curious. Have you already identified your products? Do you have projects that you brought from before, or how does it work in your case? Who has a new idea? Who's building a completely new idea from scratch? Can you just maybe raise your hand or something, or like identify? Nobody?
I mean, so I have like some kind of idea I'm trying to build here, but in terms of hackathon, it's for me less like blockchain stuff, but all the like blockchain stuff is kind of made by some foundation team, and there is not that much room for growth. And say maybe first front end part, but I'm kind of from backend part, and it's more like about ideas. So basically, I've just come up with a list of ideas. I'm trying to implement it. So the idea is some kind of card game stuff, but with some new this kind of techniques and methodologies on playing. Like Hearthstone is a good example, maybe, and then chicken gathering, I would say. But I guess that the idea of card games like really suits the NFT stuff. So basically, it's really easy monetizable stuff.
Yeah.
And I was also trying to integrate some kind of educational learn to earn stuff because obviously not happen nowadays and so on. So it motivates people to go for work. But I was thinking about just solve some problems to get these coins to I don't know to Africa something like that. But
did you validate your idea? Did you do some research? Like because
so I was like playing a lot of those kind of games, and I know it has like a strong community, and I see that. So in terms of gameplay, it could be pretty much the same. So some people about the card games basically collect you can like level up the experience of collecting something, and also you can basically not just posting that I have that card or something like that, but it could be like on blockchain, that's one.
So maybe what we could do, maybe we could just create this. People can come in and talk to you. Think maybe there's somebody who knows a developer, wants to develop, and wants to work on your project. So there should be a possibility for people to join ideas, right? So, yeah, happy to also go in more detail through the problem and stuff like after this.
Okay, guys, I think we have another question here.
Okay. So thank you very much for the presentations. It was very interesting. And so you guys touched on the customer centricity. And I'm new into this space as well, and I noticed there's people like there are different tribes. There's gaming. There's, for example, I'm actually representing B2B, say more like corporate world, and so I was wondering if, in your experience, I mean, could you share some more detailed information about who are these customers today? What's their user personas? If you have information, customer journeys, things that could help nail down a little bit during this product development phase. So anything around that would be highly appreciated. Thank you.
It's a wide question. I would start from a different angle, right? I would say, okay, we've got this beautiful technology that is called blockchain, right? And then I would ask myself, what can this technology that we've got? And it can store data in a decentralized manner, and there is value of this. It can connect people around the world in milliseconds, and there is value in this. There are other values, right? And so I would where could those values be helpful in either cutting cost or improving the customer experience? Take an example. If you look at the financial institute, if we said our client was a business, right? What kind of application we can find where a business can do something better with blockchain than they did before, right? And until now, you need to look at different sectors, right? Is this retail? Is this finance? Is this some other sector, right? And really think where the blockchain can be better than what people have in currently. If you look at consumers, then you are like, okay, well, maybe banking is my banking better with blockchain? Is it better if I have a wallet and I can just directly invest my money into various? Can I get a better? What is my drive as a consumer, right? What do I want in banking? In banking, I probably want safety, and I probably want some return on my capital, right? Okay, can I get this with blockchain better than how I do it right now? And I would go this kind of bottom-up way, like looking what kind of customer groups would be there. Does this give you some ideas?
I mean, for example, like as you said, this decentralized finance, for example, that would be a good use case. Like, have you guys done any actual research on, what's the personas on that specific industry, and even some customer journeys in that area? Thank you for boiling it down.
Yeah, we did personas, and I think this is by the way, for everybody else who is not aware of that, it's a really great technique for your product to write the persona. It's just pretty much you write who is your customer and what is the pains, and then you really write it down. So we did it for our product. We think about a couple of those, and I think really it's great technique. But at the end of the day, when your ideas, your assumptions, like as any business plan or any plan, right, face the reality, it's like it's crashes usually. So then you have to rewrite it, and then that will pivot your product at the end a bit, slightly maybe functions.
I can add to this is that if you look about persona groups in blockchain, you're by default limited to people who either already have a wallet or will get a wallet. And so in blockchain is really, if you look at onboarding, it's mostly either you are working with existing people who are doing something on blockchain, and those are mostly our experienced traders, people who already invested, and then you look, okay, can I give a product to them that is better than what they currently have, and what do they want from that product, right? And so you really think about what do those people want, and very often they just want high return probably, right? And then you are like, okay, can I actually generate some form of a strategy that can give those people who are already experienced in blockchain higher return than what they currently have? Then another question are people who are yet to come to a blockchain, and you're like, okay, how can I help those people? What do they want? Very different persona. They don't know that much, so they need the access to be easy. You need to help them to get onboarded, and it's a very different type of. But those are, for example, two types of personas. If we will to look at consumers. Right.
And just adding to this, I mean B2B especially, right? I mean our strategy, for example, we do this persona, we do research, but another strategy which we have as well, what we're building is with the validated integrations with validated products, and this is what investors like. By the way, they know, maybe we are building the technical expertise. Question back to how we build the team and technical expertise. But we are building, with that team, we are building the validated product, which is already on the market, which already have market makers have interest in that. It's already proven. So investors like it actually. People say, okay, cool. And yeah, this is one strategy. Another strategy, yeah, as you said, if you're developing a completely new product, you need to validate it. And this is what we are doing. You create personas, you talk, you recruit the users, the potential users. And the process of recruitment is not easy. And this is, I think, also what you're mentioning, right? A bit of problem, especially B2B in blockchain. This is few people there. And unfortunately, for now, what we are doing, leveraging network, hackathons, talking with funds.
And one more thing, stay within your expertise.
Yep.
It's very, very competitive out there. So really know your resources, what you're operating with, and stay with your expertise.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just out of curiosity, I bet there are not a lot of baby boomers there, but so is this driven mainly by Generation Z? Is it millennials? Based on your research, who you guys have found out is the the actual generation working blockchain so far?
So in different products, different types of generations. For example, crypto adoption in Europe is pretty high. If you look at people who are professional investors, they have exposure to crypto. A lot of people have exposure to crypto, but they have those exposures and through brokers, so they don't directly interact with that. They mostly just invest through some platforms that already exist, right? And those would be people who are already older generation, millennials, whatever, right? Then there is this generation of people who are super Web3 native, young, right? They are those who have wallets. They want to figure it out. That group, right? Really, there's no one grouping or something like this. It really depends on the product.
Right? My observation is just, it's probably we have this XYZ, right? Generations, millennials. Yeah, it's mostly like 90s, 2000s. For sure, the younger generation is interested. Although if you see, there's like 1 out of maybe 30 persons like a bit older who is also interested, but those are more, I think they're more believing in technology and business itself, the business opportunity, rather than like hacking with energy, hacking.
There's another thing about we've seen over the last 2 years is a lot of press about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and people got getting interest in Bitcoin and crypto just because they saw headlines in newspapers talking about prices going up and like just seeing the headlines themselves. So there are a lot of people like this, right? So, but does it mean that they are adopted and prepared for blockchain? Probably they're not, because they know very little about the wallets. Mostly they buy crypto through some form of a Robinhood or broker that they currently have. So they are not those people that you would build probably a crypto native product for, right? So then your question is probably, who are those crypto native people, right? Who are those users who already have a wallet, already have tried something and are going full speed and like experimenting and putting their money into various protocols. And those people are just younger.
I like the phrase, blockchain is a technology, and this is what we are believing in, that it's reshaping the world, the global businesses, and we believe in technology. The price, though, is manipulated, and you cannot believe into the price of the blockchain. So what we are looking for is the people who believe in technology in the blockchain itself. So those who are priced, probably this is not our target market, right? So this is, and that who believes in technology is a completely different agent. So I think, and this is the core differentiator between our, let's say, community.
Thank you very much.
Does this answer your question?
Yeah.
Pleasure. Well, if you have any questions, anything else you want to guys talk to?
Yeah.
We're good. Please feel to come up after this, right?
Also later, Twitter, Telegram, whatever.
Yeah, just follow up if you need anything. And we are big friends with Tanana, so you can also reach out to them. They'll put in touch. We love the guys, and so
those guys
kudos
really
to you guys for organizing this event. Yeah. This is super cool. They worked really hard. We saw them, preparing for this, and thanks to them.
Thanks.
Все, оставить.
Оставь?
Да, потому что мы продолжим сейчас. Hello, guys. Thank you very much for participating. Now we do a very, very small break, and Ricardo, senior Solidity developer from the live peer.
And I'm waiting for once that it's yeah, you can reach quick, so you can always quick if you want by burning your shares and receiving all the underlying proportions of like holding options, whatever. Yes, shares and some like millions. So you just burn your upfront shares and you get like 100 divided by million multiplied by all that. Doesn't matter. You because of your position. So you're just basically getting cut out of this negotiated position. So you're receiving the base stuff and then you can do whatever you want. You can execute it on the way, you can sell it on the market. You can do that because if you should do it now, no one can do it, right? But if you want to manually control it, you can reach it, sell it on the secondary market while it's not super down. So you don't do it.
Не работает. I have no ideas why.
Maybe it's because of do you want my
it should just be displayed as a property.
Have the file ready? Ready?
Yes.
Hello all, welcome to our stream from Tanana Hacker House in Prague. This is related to Ton Hackathon that is going global now. So now we have a blog, and I want to invite Ricardo, his protocol engineer in LivePeer. Welcome, Ricardo.
Thank you. Okay. So first of all, I don't have any presentation ready, so I will just go a stream of consciousness. Hopefully, we can make it a bit interactive. So you help me explaining it, and I help you provide some useful context for LivePeer. I'm here in let's say unofficial fashion because LivePeer is currently not doing it on the Telegram blockchain, but I always like to contribute to local initiatives. So what is LivePeer? And maybe we can elaborate a little bit on the topic of Web3 infrastructure. So LivePeer is a platform that allows developers to decentralized video streaming. Now, this is a little bit mouthy. So what is decentralized video streaming? Currently, whenever you want to implement a video service in your application, you would have to use some centralized services like AWS Elemental, which are also they don't provide any capability to implement Web3 native features in your application. And we will elaborate a little bit later on what a Web3 native feature is. So basically, LivePeer is trying to approach the video stream. IPFS is trying to approach the centralized, let's say, storage space. So in the same way as IPFS is trying to decrease the cost of storing chunks of data on a storage layer compared to S3 buckets or other centralized solutions. So whenever you want, for instance, to implement video transcoding and video transcoding. And video transcoding is basically that task that allows to decode or encode the data to basically enable the optimal resolution on a target device. What does it mean? It means that, for instance, if you're watching a Netflix movie on your smartphone, and your smartphone is quite old, so it has only so much capability to actually support very high resolution, then transcoding is the computational process, which is quite computational intensive, that allows you to basically optimize up to the upper bound the resolution on your device. Now, how can you implement video transcoding on a blockchain? Because obviously we know that blockchains are yes, they are great to do DeFi. They are great to build the financial applications. However, one thing that has been so far kind of overlooked is that blockchains are now. Whenever we mention the sentence global settlement layer, we tend to associate it with finance because settlement for trades, settlement for a derivative contract, and so on. However, settlement can also be applied to computation. So the premise and promise of actually blockchains is to provide a universal, trustless computational layers where you can plug in your device and you can perform some computation that can be verified by third parties, which is what LivePeer does. Whenever you want, for instance, to implement your own video streaming application, we are starting to roll out some products that would allow you to do that. Also, feel free to interrupt me because, as you can maybe guess, I'm not usually the person who does the speaking at LivePeer. I'm usually the one who does the underlying protocol engineering. So let's take a little bit of a step back. So let's take into account the case of Twitch. Now we have many platforms in the Web2 space that are constantly rolling out video content. How can they afford it, and how can they be profitable? The answer is usually they are not. Usually most Web2 video companies end up failing. Why was Twitch, for instance, acquired by Amazon? It was because, yes, Twitch was a very fast-growing company of running your own video transcoding service and your own video streaming application is so high that even in the case of a platform that has the kind of a penetration, market penetration as Twitch, the cost can be almost unaffordable, which is why most video startups. So one of the mission statements of LivePeer is to basically democratize this sort of access to building your own video streaming application by cutting the cost. How do we do that? Now, we are all familiar here with Bitcoin and Ethereum, so proof of work, currently proof of work. LivePeer can be in LivePeer you can participate as a video miner. So let's provide a bit of context on how you can participate to LivePeer. The same way you want, let's say that you have some hardware, at least back in the days. Now it's not profitable anymore unless you join a pool. Back in the days, whenever you would want to mine Bitcoin, you would just download the software, do all that jazz, and you could basically put your hardware to work to basically perform some sort of a computational lottery, and you would have a likelihood that is proportional to the computational power that you're putting into the blockchain to basically mine a Bitcoin. LivePeer applies a similar concept to its protocol, where if you have some spare hardware that you want to use in order to contribute to the activity of a video transcoding, then you can participate as what is called in the LivePeer network entity, basically in the network that performs the video transcoding. So let's say that I have some old hardware with NVIDIA GPUs, because currently I think we are only supporting NVIDIA to do the decoding and transcoding. Decoding and encoding. Old NVIDIA that you want to put to good work and make some money off of it, you can participate by basically renting out this computational power and contribute to the activity of transcoding. So it's we call it video mining. If you have some spare hardware, I would suggest to go to the official LivePeer website, the LivePeer documentation, and check it out. It's I wouldn't say that it's the most straightforward process, but for anyone that has a little bit of familiarity with how to do Bitcoin mining or Ethereum mining, it should be fairly straightforward. That's one way to participate. The second way to participate is actually by delegating. So LivePeer has a protocol. To give a little bit of context on the protocol, which is the layer where I work, the protocol is basically what I was mentioning, that basically allows to price this computational activity that happens off-chain. Why does it happen off-chain? Because obviously video transcoding is a very computational intensive activity, and one would say, yes, blockchains are great, they are decentralized, but they are slow. How does this align well with an activity that is a video transcoding? Well, it doesn't. So it's just a matter of, I guess, good engineering principle, where you split the responsibility of your architecture in a way that the blockchain takes care of basically ensuring the financial fairness of all the agents that are part of the network. And the agents that are part of the network in this case are three. One, the orchestrators, which we have just mentioned, that are the actors that basically perform the transcoding. The others are the broadcaster, that basically is the entity that actually requests some video transcoding service. Again, video transcoding service is basically to allow your to have the optimal video quality on their target device. And the third is the end user. So all the video transcoding computational heavy part happens off-chain, and the on-chain part takes care of of the micropayment approach basically allows us to compensate the orchestrators that perform this computational work with a high level of granularity. In the case of LivePeer, it's basically the level of granularity is per pixel, which is our most basic pricing unit, because the underlying assumption is that the more granular the pricing unit, the more precise you are able to price some computational activity. Moving on, so let's say that you're not interested in the protocol, or you're not interested in video mining, you're interested in some good old-fashioned yield, because maybe there are some DeFi. What you can do, so there is, the protocol allows to delegate. So let's say, hey, I don't really have any spare hardware, I don't really have the skills to run my own orchestrator or to take care of the DevOps stuff to ensure that it can perform so it's coding, but I would still like to participate and make some money. The way you can do that is you can delegate some stake to one of the active orchestrators. So you can do that on the LivePeer Explorer. You can just Google it out. We have recently rolled out the new version. The LivePeer Explorer, there is currently basically a batch of 400 orchestrators. You can just go there and stake your LPT, which is the LPT token, basically the native token of LivePeer, of the LivePeer protocol. And by doing that, in a similar fashion as a Bitcoin, or you will earn some of the rewards, basically inflationary rewards of the transmission of the protocol. Moving on, how else can you participate? So you don't want to stake, you don't want to be an orchestrator, you're just a developer, and maybe let's say that you're building your own social media application, and I think by the current Web2 trends that your social media application is going to be as successful as the number of media formats that are going to support. For instance, the most successful and fastest growing social media companies right now, I think they are video-based, like TikTok. Let's say that you want to build your own decentralized TikTok. How can we empower you to do that? We can do that because at the beginning I mentioned that the mission of LivePeer is to make video streaming applications both more affordable than by using and also by implementing Web3 features as first-class citizen in your application. What does first-class citizen and Web3 feature mean? It means that, for instance, if you want to associate a video to an NFT, for instance, let's say that you have a sort of a TikTok type of application where each follower or each video is represented by an NFT, and you want to only allow a certain segment, set of users to access that video, and that set of users is represented by an NFT, you can do that. We are rolling out some SDKs that you can check out on the LivePeer GitHub, like the video NFT repository. Just Google out LivePeer GitHub, and you can see immediately video NFT that allow you to basically use the underlying LivePeer infrastructure and mint and basically easily integrate it with currently just Ethereum, specifically on our cross-chain support for other chains, but we would basically allow you to easily implement your own video streaming application and integrate it with other protocols. For instance, there are some integrations underway between LivePeer and Lens protocol. By show of hands, who knows about so Lens is the new social media protocol that is being developed by the Aave team. By show of hands, who knows about Aave? Okay, so Aave is quite popular in the space as a lending protocol. Now it's a huge name, so they are rolling out their own, let's say, social media, the new social media layer for Web3, which is Lens. So there is some nice integration where Lens will be basically the social media layer that would integrate LivePeer for any kind of video functionality and NFT all things. And I stop here because I'm a bit rambling. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Yes. What?
business model, or how can a participant make profit from participating in the blockchain, in the system?
Right now, the business model is mostly a Red Hat type of business model. And obviously, I'm not on the business side in the company, but okay, let's say 90% of our stack, and surely everything that is related to the video engineering and blockchain part is open source. So we just want to increase our market traction among developers, which is support, at least for the Web3 part. So on our side, obviously, the strength, especially of a Web3 platform, is strictly, almost directly proportional to its level of adoption. So obviously, we benefit from a very vibrant ecosystem where everyone is building on top of Livepay. In the same way, Ethereum benefits from having a lot of Solidity developers, unlike, I don't know, some other not so successful chains, US. So that's one way. The other way, let's say, from a developer, how can you profit? I would say, in terms of profiting, it's mostly a matter of cutting costs. So, I think we have a dashboard where you can compare the cost between using, let's say, AWS Elemental and Livepeer, and you can see that basically the cost per transcoding minute is actually cheaper on a Livepeer. Plus, let's say that you want to actually build again your own Web3 video applications, and if you want to do it from scratch, it will probably take 3 months for an entire. If you want to do it by using our SDKs, we are trying to cut down the cost to, let's say, 2 weeks for a single good developers to do that. So I guess that's basically we are trying to optimize. Right. Thank you. Yeah.
What are your, from your perspective, what are the most successful use cases of Livepay so far? Which
The most so
Or interesting.
I'm not very much exposed to the user-facing side of the application because I'm on the protocol. So right now, the only metrics to which I'm exposed is that currently we are transcoding 3 million minutes per week. So basically, that's usually abysmal compared to YouTube, but still quite significant and growing. But I cannot actually pinpoint you to the application that are doing it. I know that there are some applications that are doing it related, for instance, we integrated Livepeer for Ethereum Prague. So Ethereum Prague was streaming on Livepeer, and there are some undergoing integrations with F Global to basically implement Livepeer to stream globally all Ethereum events. And then there were some social media applications, but yeah, I honestly I wouldn't know right now. But I'm quite bullish on the Lens implementation.
Okay, guys, so if there are now any questions, also from online, thank you, Ricardo, for your talk. Guys, thank you for participating as well. So we take a small break and we'll back to you with the last one. Okay, guys. Hello again. We are on the Solana, on the Ton Hacker House, Tonana Hacker House stream in Prague during the first official global hackathon for the Ton community, and now we have a small panel discussion about Web3 blockchain and current situation on the market. So here we have 4 panelists that will introduce themselves and welcome on and enjoy the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Radomir Eliáš. I'm on blockchain market already like 7 years, and I know about Bitcoin and blockchain from 2011, something like that. I built my or try to build my own startup and work for some other company, and now I'm working like a business developer, and I judge some crypto project and scammers and shitcoiners a lot of times. So it's enough?
Hi, my name is Ali. I am a co-founder and a core contributor at Opium Network. In the blockchain space, I think for 4 years now, but it was like 40. And yeah, that's it.
20 years. Anyway. Hi, I'm Ricardo. Currently, I'm a protocol engineer for LivePeer, and previous to that, I was working with Ali for Open Finance.
Hi, my name is Vadim. I am rebuilding T7T Labs and Project Nubi, which is a platform for DAOs. And my background is computer science and over 10 years in finance.
So we have some topics here that we collected from you guys. First one is how many startups will not survive during the bear market, which is apparently happening, and how to survive the bear market.
Okay, I will take first. We must think that all Web3 projects are startups. So like the matrix is really done. 99% will not survive anymore because there is a lot of project or like teams which want to create just or some Ponzi because it's easy. You made some nice marketing. You will say that your project will make I don't know 15% per day. I have these messages on my Instagram, and people really buy this shit. And if you still have like a correct project, there is a lot of stuff with process mistake which could happen, and your project will not survive neither in a bear market and neither in a bull market. It's normal. So I will suggest you be prepared on that your project will not take a succeed, and probably not only first, maybe 2, 3 in a row. It's heavy job be startupist.
I can add to that. Agree with you totally about that everything is startup and startup rate is like small, but we are in a little bit different space here. First of all, what was like almost never happening in this space is the funding. Actually, it's you get funding for your crypto project, and the valuations are insane. They're like overvaluated 10 times, 100 times sometimes, which you can utilize in a smart way, I guess. If you are still building and you are cost efficient and you can experiment a lot in this sphere where there is almost nothing happened and developed yet, you have like a lot of possibilities and you can experiment a lot and you can pivot like from different ideas to different ideas and still like don't run out of money actually, like, but it's a challenge, definitely.
Okay, I will wait on another answers.
I think that the metrics that you can use to evaluate how to survive the bear market are quite similar to the metrics that you can use on how to succeed in a bull market, so to speak. But they are on steroids. So why don't we have a sort of compounded growth that is given basically by the entire market growing? On a bear market, you're kind of on your own. So you cannot rely on the compounded growth of the market, but you just need to rely on the internal growth of your product, your community. So I think, there are a lot of metrics that are very similar to the Web2 projects that are in terms of, hey, what is the value proposition of your application? Eventually, at the end of the day, are you offering a cheaper, more easy to use alternative than your competitors and so on and so forth? But I guess there are some specificities that the Web3 that have, for instance, a stronger emphasis on our community, like we have seen it with all the DAOs, where there is a very important aspect of grassroots communities. So I guess that, for instance, the projects that will manage to have a sort of traction among some key demographics, so that they will have a strong community, are more likely, I guess, to survive in the bear market. And then, yes, I guess just always remind yourself at the end of the day where users are using my application. Is it sustainable? Does it actually need to have the blockchain-ish Web3 future that you are using? And rule of thumb, are we cutting out any intermediaries? Is it easy to use and things like that? So that's it.
I'll pick up on 2 points. Just build up on this previous point from Ricardo. There are companies and there are business models that are profitable, and if you're profitable and you generate value for your customers, you will survive. And then the second point I want to pick up is about the 99% and the failure rate for startups. A lot of startups are actually failing because they don't have enough capability to push forward. They don't have the product. A lot of people are starting, but there are still really good companies out there, and those companies having business models. Also, if you look at what high quality funds invest in crypto, you'll also see that a lot of funds are invested in infrastructure projects, and those projects are geared towards providing layers that are going to be used by people where there's going to be a customer, and the customer is going to be paying. And so, I wouldn't be that dramatic about neither the crypto winter nor the 99% startup rate.
Also, to elaborate very quickly on that, the VC funding topic. So right now, I was looking at some figures. I think that VC funding, so there was a huge headline on Bloomberg a few days ago that VC funding is at a record low that we have not witnessed since 2020. But then if we look at the figures in 2020, there was more VC funding in that quarter of the year than in the previous 3 years combined. So we need to put it into context that yes, okay, it's not like VCs are throwing as much money as they were doing it 4 months ago, but in 2020 they were still putting way more money to work than in the previous 3 years combined. So just keep it in mind that there is a sort of very weird way to call a bear market in crypto. That it's not actually a bear market. There is a lot of value. There is a lot of money around. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I must agree that there is a lot of money, and if you are clever, if you build a really product or some service, and you make some revenue, you are able to find some investors and some VC fund. They are a little bit, let's say, harder on you, and you will negotiate and present them. They will judge you really, but they have the money, and they won't spend them that way because inflation. So if your project is well done, you will take the money and you will find it.
And also I would support your words about the communities, which is also one of the most important things in Web3 if you run out of money. like at all, completely. It's still actually possible to stay afloat if you have a huge community of the supporters. There are a lot of places where you can get this money all the time, like grants, like Bitcoin grants, or some grants from other projects. And the bigger community you have, actually, the more you can get from that, because you can get not only money, you can get participation and contribution. You can get like free programmers, free designers. Everyone likes the idea. Everyone is going to be just working for this idea, and you can still survive. And yeah, there are examples of that.
Another question?
Talk about shift from Web 2 to Web 3.
Yeah, maybe.
There was
There was a question about how to move and from Web 2 to Web 3, why to move, how do people do this? There are people who are experienced developers, and they just very excited about this move and looking for best instruments to do the move. Do you want to comment?
Well, first of all, I would suggest everyone here the same what Vadim suggested already during his presentation. Read the report of Anderson Horowitz for the crypto, because exactly the same topic was discussed there, and it's very, very well described. But in short, I would return back to the communities. Of course, what's different, the biggest difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is the ownership. And you are basically doesn't own anything in Web 2, probably like creating some content or consuming some content, but it's all stored in a centralized way. And there is no actually like very, very rare that there is a community around some product, even if it's super popular. It's usually like super proprietary. It's being owned by corporates. The money is being made by corporates. Everything is from your cake, and you just receive a small breadcrumbs basically at the end. And you should shift your paradigm of thinking when you build in Web3. And to be honest, it's like kind of hard. I am trying to do this for 4 years. Sometimes I'm catching myself Web2 thinking still, but it's important to understand that the decentralization and the trust and transparency is key here, and the community is key here. Because all the balances in Web3 are done especially by dependency on the amount of community like participating in that. So yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to say more. Okay, I will show an example how its world looked like in 2013, which I already remember. Empty blocks and all these things. Some you can Google it. What was an empty blocks? So yes, community, because like I remember time and like a Bitcoin. What is it? Like a you are dumb. Like a what? And this is like now with Web 3.0 or DeFi or all these things. Like there is a lot of like heavy Bitcoiners, which will actually write about Bitcoin because Bitcoin have already like years and years performance on market, and on Web3 we just start building this community and looking for real use case, how to use it and how to build it and everything. So there will be a lot of wasted money and times and struggles, and after a few years or some years we will find some use case and build some community. And
Okay, so maybe I just want to antagonize a bit, especially my own views. So communities, I think they're great, and they are definitely a deciding factor in the success of our Web3 application. But I think if we want to do the switch from, let's say, the type of success that Web3 has registered so far to the type of success that Web2 companies like Google, Facebook had. We need to switch from this type of, let's say, insularity type of mindset, like when we think about a community for other, a community and so on and so forth, and think in terms of actual scale, because we don't talk about a community for Google or a community for Facebook. But when we talk about Facebook, we talk about 3 billion users. So it's not a community, it's basically like 90% of the people, it's market traction. So that's very interesting. Like, obviously, you want to have your core, let's say, community, and that's super important, and you want to have decentralized ownership. You want to have as many stakeholders as possible, like moving from a shareholder economy to a stakeholder economy. At the same time, when we talk about user base, the user base shouldn't be the community. The community should be the people who are contributing. The user base should ideally be 3 billion people using the future of AWS on the blockchain, or live peer, and so on and so forth.
Without blockchain under the hood.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is really hard because like you must to build the community and to community push to end users, and everything must have a really like a front end and a user's experience really nicely done. And there is a really big gap between like how coders and everybody here think and end users think. So it's some way.
Definitely.
Community should be a subset of users, but yeah, everyone.
I just want to add 2 points that are less related to community, more related to the tools that you use when you transition from Web 2 to Web 3. And one thought that I picked up from somebody from one of the events is from a senior developer who was then converted. He said, look, you can be very experienced developer in Web 2. When you come to Web 3, just be prepared that you're going to feel yourself as a junior developer for some time. Those tools that you're going to be using, they will require experience in building. If you build build a smart contract that is proven and is secured against hacks, that requires time. Just be ready for that. In terms of the tools that you can use, there are some really good public courses. I like Patrick Collins, who is preparing courses on YouTube for Chainlink, and cover a lot of Ethereum and Web3 coding that you can cover just for free, and then add something for Udemy or if you want it from a school or something on top of that.
Patrick Collins, you, Patrick.
We have one more question.
Yeah, we have the trends in DeFi topic.
Yeah.
Trends in DeFi.
Should we clarify, is it DeFi or trends in like a blockchain just overall? Do you want to look at subsector of DeFi, or do you want to look at also like NFTs and stuff like this? Who wants to look at DeFi only? Let's put it this way. Raise your hand. Okay. Who wants to look at DeFi plus other sectors? Okay.
Yeah, well, I wanted to start actually with that. There is not many trends in DeFi recently. I think it all matured a lot during the last 2 years. There were a couple of primitives built, and there are some projects right now that are built on top of the primitives, combining them together. But I did not see actually any new primitives coming up lately. So, yeah.
There is a new primitive, it's called liquidation. And the main feature is going bankrupt. Not worth 2 days and bringing the entire market to its knees.
So I hope that everyone is building right now and preparing something for their community.
So I can add on this that there's one thing that is happening. in kind of DeFi in a way, because the tokenization, right? And so de-tokenization might not be directly DeFi right now, because people are just converting real assets or assets into tokens, and they start owning those assets through digital. But then this process develops, we're going to have more and more DeFi applications, so financial applications, because we'll stop dealing with those assets just the way we deal with traditional assets in the real world, because we're going to need to, maybe invest them. We'll need to take a loan against them. We, might need to just pledge them somewhere or something, right? So they become your asset, and you can do a lot in DeFi with your asset.
I mean, I fully agree. I don't know if it was the end of it.
That's what it is.
Okay, but it was a great answer, so well deserving. Anyway, I think it's not very much DeFi, but let's say the topic of payments. Blockchain started with payments in mind, and actually it's one of the few things yet. There are a few attempts here and there. Maybe Solana Pay is finally starting to crack the surface of mainstream, but there is a lot of let's say peer-to-peer bidirectional stuff that you can do for payments between merchants and customers that has not been implemented yet and could have some DeFi native features. We were kind of discussing it a while ago, where merchants, rather than just being paid in stablecoins, could be paid in a structured products or something that generates a yield. And it's definitely one of the use cases that I expect to get traction in the mainstream, because what do you use your money for at the end of the day? Most of your money, it depends on the income class, but like on a daily usage, obviously you pay the money, use your money for ice creams, not to be a DJ on
Okay, I think we've covered this all right then. Cool. Thank you, guys.
So again, thank you all for participation in the event. To do some pizza break and see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, sure. This little button? Maybe.